Hello YouTube, it's Mason and I'm back with another video. In today's video, I wanted to go over something new that I had just done with my MacBook A1181. And so today, I installed a new operating system on it, which is something I was a little hesitant about doing because I didn't want to run the risk of actually breaking the machine or, running into any issues where I wouldn't be able to use it. But without further ado, let me go ahead and show you what I've done. Alright guys, so if you've subscribed to my channel or watched any of my videos, you might be pretty familiar with this guy. This is my mid-2009 MacBook A1181, and this is still, in 2020, my daily driver. I use this MacBook almost every day for web browsing, social media, any kind of schoolwork or anything I need to do. And this is still a great machine. One of the most recent things I've done to this MacBook is replace the thermal paste on my CPU and my integrated graphics card. And I do have a video on my channel that goes over all that and the new temperatures. And to give an update, my MacBook still gets pretty hot and the cooling fan still spools up. So if you're looking to replace the thermal paste on one of these old white Macs and you want to try and make it quieter, replacing the thermal paste is definitely going to help, especially if it looked like mine, hard and crusty. Definitely do it, but don't expect that your Mac is actually going to get any quieter. It still spools up, and I've come to accept the fact that it's just how the Mac is, so it's not even bad. It's not super loud or obnoxious. It gets warm, but I think that's a Mac thing. But without further ado, let me go ahead and show you this new update that I did. So we'll go ahead and open it up here. And I do apologize, I am recording this with my iPhone XR, so anyways, we are greeted with macOS Catalina. And if I can be really quick about this, macOS Catalina is actually not supported. macOS Catalina is not even supposed to be running on a Mac this old, but huge shout out to DOSDude1. His patcher tool allowed me to install Catalina on this old Mac. Now, I was very hesitant about doing this since this operating system is not even supported to run on this machine. And I was afraid that if I attempted this, I would probably end up breaking the Mac and making it unusable. But luckily enough, after a little bit of trial and error, I was able to successfully get Catalina installed on this Mac. So if I can switch hands here and go up to about this Mac, you can see that this Mac is now running Catalina, Catalina 10.15.2, so it's already the second release since beta, if I'm correct. And if you look here at the specs, it is running with the Intel Core 2 Duo with 4 GB of RAM and the NVIDIA GeForce 9400M graphics. Now, the processor is pretty old by today's standards, and it's pretty bad. It's a good chip, but it's just pretty old. So I would love to upgrade it, but it's soldered onto the motherboard, so that's not even possible. I believe Catalina, if I'm correct, requires at least 8 gigs of RAM. So I may be doing a RAM install later on, but the 4 gigs is sufficient, and Catalina is running, it's running pretty good actually with it. So I am not at all really complaining. If you see, we go to storage here, we're using the original 7200 RPM Macintosh hard drive. It's actually a Fujitsu drive. And I would love to install a solid state in this, but the hard drive is actually working just fine. so I'll probably hold off on that. And basically, the Macintosh operating system, or Mac OS as most people call it, is a very well optimized operating system. So there's really no need to upgrade to a solid state. Like, it's nice because your laptop will be very quick and snappy, and it will respond way better and way faster, but the original hard drive actually still works totally fine. And as you can see, it looks like the computer is still loading up the data for the hard drive. It's actually categorizing, you know, all the different stuff that's on here. So there's music, TV, music creation. There's a really small hairline one that is something else. And then we have system, and then other, and then our available free space. And then the memory tab, that just shows the, you know, the two RAM sticks that I've installed. And when this thing was running El Capitan, 4 gigabytes was totally sufficient. It worked. And El Capitan was a great operating system, and even today El Capitan was still totally usable. It did everything I needed it to do, but I'll be honest, I really wanted to have Catalina, and I was kind of missing not having Siri and the option to switch into dark mode. So honestly, I got kind of like I wanted something new, so that's what ultimately pushed me to install a new operating system on here. And when I figured out that there's a way to do it and that the success rate was pretty much really high, I decided to give it a shot. So I purchased a 32 gigabyte flash drive, and I followed all the instructions from the YouTube video I watched from DOS Dude 1, and I was able to knock it out. And it took a little trial and error, but I got it to work. And then through a few updates through the patcher, I was able to get everything buttoned up and working very nicely. Now, there's only one issue. The MacBook A1181 uses the older trackpad with the clicky button. So Catalina has never seen a trackpad like that, and Catalina doesn't really know how to work with a trackpad like that. So if you have a MacBook A1181 and you want to put Catalina on it, you can do it. But at first, your arrow might be really slow, and you might be swiping your finger across that trackpad really quickly, and the arrow might be moving extremely slow. But once you actually boot into Catalina, there will be an update in the patcher for the trackpad, and it'll bring the mouse back. Now, the last thing I want to point out in terms of issues, because literally everything else on this is working beautifully. It is very well done. We have system preferences, and it is taking a few minutes. I'm going to blame my RAM and the hard drive for why everything is a little slow at loading. But if you come over here to trackpad, again, if you're using the MacBook A1181 and you go to trackpad, there are supposed to be options in here for you to adjust your trackpad. It looks like Catalina is not detecting any trackpad. Again, maybe because it's the old clicky button trackpad with a physical button, but for whatever reason, no options even show up to adjust the trackpad. So there's no touch to click, there's really nothing I can do to adjust any settings with the trackpad. But other than that, everything on this machine is working beautifully. It is still very snappy and quick, even though it's only 4 gigs with just a standard, 7200 RPM drive. But Catalina is working very well, and I will demonstrate this by, I guess, opening Safari, which, if you see the little black dot below it, Safari is already open, but look at how fast stuff opens. And then if I navigate to, let's say, YouTube, this is about how long it takes, and this is with my internet and my hardware, but YouTube loads up just fine and actually works. So I guess the last thing I'll get into is there is still a right-click option. I should mention, if you are using the MacBook A1181 with this clicky button trackpad, you are not going to be able to right-click anymore the way that you're used to doing it on a Mac, which is 2 fingers and then touch. For whatever reason, that feature does not work anymore with Catalina on this trackpad, so Apple was very smart, and I believe, if I'm correct, they gave us 3 different ways to right-click. And that is, I don't know them all, but if you hold Control and then you click, it will bring up the menu, just as if you were right-clicking. So, I don't know why the menu didn't show up. It's Control. There you go. So if you hit the Control key and click, you will get your right-click menus. And this works literally everywhere. Like, let's say I want to close Safari. I can Control, click, and there's my right-click options right there. And I can close Safari. So that is literally that, guys. This is a mid-2009 MacBook A1181 running macOS Catalina, and it is 2020. I'm still using one of these. Alright guys, so I wanted to thank y'all again for watching the video. If you want to see a full review video that I've done on my MacBook A1181, just check out my channel. I do have a full video where I go into detail about everything about it. And as always, please like and subscribe my video and to my channel, and I will be creating more content like this in the future. I love this white MacBook. I think it's unique and special, so I guarantee you there will more than likely be more videos about that Mac for sure coming onto my channel. But until then, I'll catch you on the next one, and thank you for watching.